Okay, let's start. The topic for today is domain names. How do we translate our not really readable load balancer domain name into something that's more user-friendly? Because we never type in the load balancer URLs, right? When we browse internet, we use easy to remember short names for our website. And this is basically what DNS for, right? Human-friendly domain name is resolved into load balancer domain name. Load balancer domain name is resolved into IP addresses of your instances, right? So when you'll be doing this home task, you will need to register a Route53 domain. It will cost like probably around like $10 or $7. That's the necessary spending that you'll have to make, that you'll have to invade some test domain. In order to do this, you need to let me show it once again. You need to find Route53, registered domains, and register domain. You can choose any name that you would like, any domain. Yeah, there are cheaper ones like org.net.com. Both of them will work fine. Co.uk, even though it's cheaper, you won't be able to use it because you need to have legally registered company in the UK. But hope this will be acceptable for you guys. And the domain name obviously should be unique. So yeah, once you've checked, it says this one is unavailable, but it makes you suggestions. Any that you would like, feel free to select. I will not spend time shopping and purchasing this domain and putting my credit details for obvious reason. I will just reuse the domain that I used previously, the domain that I previously registered. For example, like this one. Okie dokie. So let's check Terraform. Yeah, it is applied. So I've already applied everything, so we can immediately start coding. First thing is dns.tf. It's our CNAME. There is a special resource for that called AWS Route53 record. Basically, does everyone know? Can anyone explain what is domain? What is domain record? What is DNS record?
So it is like a simple name that will forward, go to the DNS and then forward to the IP address of the.
Yeah, yes, but this time I mean like more precisely. How do we create it, right? Let's say I mean this one. Have any one of you saw any similar things like record name, record type, NS, and so on and so forth? Okay, then let me explain. What we can do is basically create a record, and for example, our subdomain will be like www or I don't know info. And a record means it is routed to some specific IP address. And we hit create. This means we have gave instructions to our own DNS server that we manage through this interface so that all requests to info.yourdevopsmentor.net goes to this IP address. Okay, and same thing we will do no, not the right button. Same thing we will do through our Terraform. We will automate creation of such records, and these records will point not to IP address, but to our load balancer. So first thing we need to know is zone ID. Zone ID is it should be somewhere there. Yeah, zone ID is this identifier. We can extract it using the data source. Let's do this real quick. There is a special data source for that. So you'll put your domain name here. And the data source is extracted. The zone ID is extracted using this data source, similar to how we did AMI, remote state, and so on. Name will be the actual URL that we'll need to type into our web browser. So let it be. Actually, let's make it more universal. It can also be extracted from data source, but using the name property. Type is CNAME. CNAME means we are creating an alias from one domain record to another domain record. Time to leave is 300 seconds or whatever we would like. It doesn't really matter in our case. And we will point it using the records property to our load balancer. And actually, hold on a second. It should be, since we are using modules, we need to instead use module output. Load balancer URL. Let's run Terraform plan. Let's run Terraform apply. Yes, question?
In records, we can have regex expressions or no?
By regex, you mean this, right?
No, more of like regex expressions, like for instance, a star or /d. Or...
No, regex is not used here. You need to precisely point to some value. It's not regex is not compatible with this use case with DNS. No.
Okay. Thank you.
So this one returns precise string of load balancer URL, and here it is. Here's what it will put, and it should always be without any regex. But this one is interpolation. Terraform will resolve it into this one, right? And also put it as a regular string without any regex. Okay, let me show you how it looks in Portal. Right? Here is our DNS record, www, pointed to our load balancer. And we can use the command called dig in order to check if it's working properly. So when you register your domain first time, it might take some, like maybe from 15 minutes to several hours, sometimes even a day, for the domain to start working. But I've been having this domain for a while, and it's resolving, in my case, significantly faster. So what is important? This part, that it is CNAMEd into our load balancer, and basically the IPs of backends. So we have 2 zones. This means load balancer will have 2 of them. And when we go to our browser and open this in and open this URL, we will see the game, and it is accessible through the URL that we specified. Very cool. Now, as usual, I will create a branch. I will add and commit. Okay, very cool. Now, let me ask you this. This part, saying it's not secure. Your connection to the site is not secure. It is acceptable only when we run Hello World on Apache. In real cases, all website communication should be secured through the HTTPS. Does anyone have objections? I believe no. So our second task for today, yeah, we've done first one extremely fast. Our second task for today will be to configure secure communication through our endpoints. And let's do this as well. And let me actually demonstrate you some pictures first, so it makes sense what we'll be doing. So there is a service called Certificate Manager. It allows us to provision SSL certificates that are used in HTTPS directly in Amazon. And we don't even have to install them on our web server. Instead, we can associate them with our application load balancer. And all traffic from users, from end users to the load balancer endpoint will be encrypted using HTTPS. And the next step that will happen when traffic reaches load balancer is that load balancer will use this certificate to decrypt the traffic, and it will forward it unencrypted through private network to our web servers. And that's not like 100% encryption, but it is affordable since we can consider our VPC is a trusted networking perimeter, right? But like some use cases like compliance, financial apps, some banking apps, or some like government things do not allow this. They want full encryption totally. This means we need to provision certificates separately and install them directly to our web servers. But for our case, for the majority of cases, even for production cases, this technique is accepted. And this is called certificate termination, or also SSL offload. And by the way, it also saves us some performance, because encrypting and decrypting is, when it's done on servers, also consumes its CPU memory resources. Any questions regarding this setup?
Can I use self-signed certificate in load balancer?
Okay, let me explain you this. A passport. Everyone has a passport, right? So passport is given you by a government, right? This means this government has some authority to give passport, and basically you must prove that you must go to some government office and prove that you is who you are, right? They will take, I don't know, your fingerprints, some previous documents, birth certificate, or something else, right? In order to confirm this. And after that, they will give you official paper, the passport, that will say that government of your country confirm that you are who you are. That, and same applied to certificates, right? And instead of government, we have certificate authorities. So Amazon is a certificate authority, and certificate authority should be trusted and should be well known to everyone. Otherwise, we translate back to the use case of a passport. Here's what will happen. You said, I don't need government. I will issue a passport for myself. Right? And instead, yeah, you can create beautiful paper, but there is no any huge organization behind this. This only means that you confirm that you are who you are, but there is no third party authority that also confirms this.
Okay, but I mean, like, a third party like OpenSSL. So can I upload a certificate from OpenSSL to the load balancer instead of using AWS?
No, it is technically not possible, and it does not make sense, because certificate authority is something that everyone trusts. For example, like, I don't know, who issues certificate? GoDaddy, right? They have reputation of a trusted entity that can assure everyone that this person is good, and this person is not good, right? But when you using self-signed certificates, you are telling on behalf of yourself that yes, I am good, you can trust me. But the problem with self-signed certificate is that everyone can say, I am good, you can trust me. Even the bad guy can say, oh no, I'm not actually a bad guy, I have certified with this self-signed certificate that you can trust me. Please give me your password and social security number.
Okay. Now I get it. Thank you.
And any browser will notify you that this site is using self-signed certificate. And self-signed certificate, yeah, it will give encryption, but it will not prove that you are the actual owner, for example, of the domain. That's the second part, right? So each certificate is tied to a specific domain name. And in order to obtain this certificate, you must prove that you are the owner of this domain, and this is what we'll do like in couple of minutes. And if you take this certificate and, for example, install it to some other domain, it will not work. It will it will tell this certificate was issued to the different domain name. That's not the one who claims who he is. Something wrong is happening. So browser, let me try search for this. Somewhere in the browser we can find the already existing certificates. Okay, never mind. Let's just move forward with the code, and perhaps it will become even more reasonable and clear. Okay, first resource is the certificate itself. And as I mentioned, it is connected to a specific domain name. And also, as I explained, we should prove that we own this domain. For example, we can do this using DNS. This means they will ask us to create a DNS record in the domain with, I would say, special secret code. Like, if you own this domain, you should be able to create these records. Otherwise, they will not allow us to create a certificate for the domain that does not belong to us. Otherwise, we could have generate certificate for Google.com, right? And replace the domain name and exploit someone by asking them to provide password, or everything, all other personal details. And probably we can add tags. Okie dokie. And a couple more resources is for the validation itself. Since it's since we chosen DNS option, we will need to create these Route53 records. There will be actually several of them. And it's a little tricky case, but you don't need to worry, I will explain it 1 second. Okay. So basically, this certificate will provide the property in Terraform called domain validation options. And basically, this property, there are several of them, contain the information about this secret value that we'll need to add into our additional DNS records. We are looping through each of them and creating them one by one. Yeah, and just to reiterate, if you really own this domain, please create these DNS records for us. And we are basically fulfilling these requirements. Okay, so here is what we're doing. Creating the certificate itself. After that, reading the property domain validation options of this certificate and looping through them, and basically creating the required set of records in the domain. After that, there will be separate resource that allow us to point the certificate to these domain records and basically tell AWS that these records are intended for validating this certificate. And yeah, while it's applying, like any previous resource, no need to worry. You can always go to documentation and check some references, and they have very decent examples that you can steal and modify as per your needs. And I will send you guys the link later once we finish. And of course, we have some errors. It should be validation method. And on line 27, Yes.
I have this question in Terraform. In the validation, there is this variable each or module. What does it refer to?
Each, you mean this?
This one,
Okay. Yeah, very good question. So this for each block, it's an equivalent for count. So, but it works slightly different. It allows us to set not only count that can be accessed by index, but also record accessed by key. So this means that we will loop through domain validation options and consider each object separately and call it DVO, right? Next, what we will do is we will set for each instance of this object, we will set the following properties. Name is the resource name, resource record name property of each instance of domain validation options. Record will be resource record value of domain validation option, and type will be resource record type of the main validation option. And after that, we will use this later in our configuration. So each means each value name means this one, which is in turn extracted from each object of this one. This one corresponds to this one, and so on and so forth. And I think we will spend the next lesson talking in more details separately from overall project that we have, talking in more details about for each, about different Terraform functions that we might have, how can we test them, how can we work with them. So it will make even more sense for you. Okay, yeah, Fadia also.
Yeah, I have a question, like also like in the block for each. Like the certificate is asking us for to create multiple records. So we have multiple names, multiple values, and multiple types.
Yes.
And like for each like loop, the parenthesis for it ends before we are affecting the name and the record. Won't like by the end of the for each like loop, since the parenthesis is situated before it, like each value will be overwritten by the previous one, and we won't like have access only to the last.
Yeah, let's just show. Let's just have a look. Where is my AWS? Let's just have a look how it affected. Indeed, you were clear, and this is very, very interesting finding. And I need to give you a golden medal for that. I was not, honestly, I've been doing this for years and was not paying attention to this, that there is only one record that's been overwritten. Or maybe there is only one validation option. Let's check. Let's check the certificate just to clear it out. Maybe it's not the case. Certificate manager. Domains, details. There should be somewhere here validation options. Okay, we can do different thing. We can do this directly through Terraform output. There is only one. No, that's not the case, Fadia. That is working right. It is not overwriting. There is only one domain validation option, and it created exactly one-to-one relationship, one record. Oh, that's all. That's all as expected. Okay, so yeah, just to reiterate, here is our certificate. The status is issued and validated, and we've validated it by creating these type of records. Basically, some secret value here pointed to another secret value here to allow AWS to understand. AWS will check that this record exists and basically like confirm that yes, that's our domain. What we need to do next is reconfigure our load balancer. Our load balancer is still working on HTTP, but we need to switch it then to HTTPS and assign our ACM certificate to it. Let me find some references. 1 second. Okay. So instead of 80, we need 443. That's the thing that we'll need to change. And in our one second, let me find this out. Hold on. Sorry for the wait. I just forgot one thing and trying to find a good example. Okay, looks like we have this, yeah. So default action will be will still be forward. Target group IRN will remain the same. What we need to add is the certificate IRN, the SSL policy, and this will be declared as a variable. SSL policy, we can keep it hard-coded. It's a like a version of certificate. So port will be 443. Protocol will be HTTPS. And we will declare the variable. How do we call it? Certificate RN. And in our caller, we'll add certificate RN equals it was ACM certificate main.rn. Hopefully this will work. Let's try this out. And let's remove this output as well. We shouldn't have changed this description. It forced recreation of the security group. Not very good thing. It won't be able to recreate it because we have a load balancer attached to it. So let's ignore this and keep this as is. Okay, very cool. And the moment of truth. Now we should be able to use HTTPS instead of HTTP, and hopefully I did not mess it up. Okay, you see this closed lock instead of this not secure message, and we can check some information about the certificate. Very good. and no one will sniff our passwords or whatever sensitive information our clients will provide. That's the easiest and fastest way to set up HTTPS. It is acceptable for the majority of cases, and it works perfectly, and most importantly, easy to set up and simple. I will commit the rest of things and create a pull request.
I have a question.
Yes.
If we have deployed the certificate inside our server, like that case, like in sensitive kind of applications, we would have also to add the certificate to the load balancer. We would also need that step.
No, we unfortunately not able to add certificates created outside of certificate manager to load balancer. In this case, you need to configure load balancer to both listen and path to the port 443. In simple words, but in fact, it will be significantly more complicated to achieve. First, you need to buy a certificate that will cost like $200. But there are cases when certificates cost thousands of dollars. Sometimes that's like technical thing. That's what's blocking the majority of learners from practicing HTTPS. Simply because not everyone can afford $100 simply to play with certificates, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's why we embrace this option, simply not just for you not to have this blind spot when someone asks you on the interview, for example, like, how do you secure your traffic? You know what to say. You understand what will happen.
Yes,
Right?
100%.
Yeah. Okay, pull request merged. Never forget to destroy your infrastructure. And if we don't have anything else to discuss, if you guys don't have any other questions, I wish you good rest of your day and talk to you on Thursday.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you.